Hi, I'm Tom from Red's Radio Controlled Models. Thank you for joining me today for this build review of the Flightline RC Lavochkin la7. This model has an 1100mm wingspan, swings a lovely 3-blade scale prop, and is propelled by a 4S 3300 to 4000 lithium polymer. And the model features full retracting undercarriage, split flaps, 9g servos for the ailerons and the flaps, and metal geared 9g servos for the elevator and aileron. All the servos are analog, so it runs just off the pure BEC on the speed control, which is a free-wing 60A with a DINGS connector. All the other scale features and the transfers we will go through in a little bit more detail later on in this video. So if we get on with the build review, I can show you that now. The first thing to do with the Lavochkin is to glue the bottom pan and the air scoop on. These are the only two things on the whole kit that need gluing together. In the kit supplied is a little bit of contact adhesive. It makes it nice and simple, you don't need to buy anything else. So this bottom scoop, I always make sure that it goes in nice and easy without the glue, just to make sure it's dry fitting quite well, which it does, and then I'll check the bottom air scoop as well. There we go. So it's quite a nice fit, so that's fine to go ahead. I suggest the bottom there is fine, but I do suggest going over the bottom of this with a little bit of fine sandpaper, and just to get a little bit of a better join on the model. So all you need to do is just put a little bit of contact adhesive into this, making sure you've got a nice even spread all over. Make sure it goes up the sides as well. Get it all the way around. Once you've got it all in, push it onto the bottom of the plane. Make sure it's pushed on there nice and tight, which it is, and then that will set nicely in position. The next step obviously is to take the air scoop and pop that on the top. So do the same process again, going all the way around the outside of the model, and there. And pushing that into place right there. Just keep an eye on it as it goes off to make sure that it's pushed in all the way round. That way when the wing goes to fit on, it will fit nice and securely. So the next part of the build is to put the wing onto the fuselage. In the manual it does state to pop the wing on before you put the Y leads in. However, I like to put the Y leads on first, as the part where the wires go in on the fuselage, if you can see on there, is right at the very front. This allows you to push the wires through before you've actually got the wing on, and it allows you to pull the wires through the top canopy hatch here that I've already taken off. So all you've got to do, pop your fuselage on the table, pop the wing upside down and feed the wires through that front gap. Once you've got them through, pop the wing straight and pop the back of the wing on. Lift the model up, you should have all the wire leads pulled through behind. Just make sure that none of them are caught. Make sure that they're all pulled through. Flip it back over. Push the back of the wing down so it will sit underneath that air scoop, and then slide it back. Once it's slid back, you should just be able to push each side of the wing down, like so. Once that's in position, again, flip it back, and then just check all the wiring that is in here to make sure that none of it has got trapped in between the wing and the wing fillet. If it's not got trapped, that's brilliant. That means you can screw the wing on. The only thing the kit doesn't come with is a Phillips screwdriver. So just pop your screws into each bit of the wing. There should be 4 screws holding the wing on. In the screw bag you've got 8 screws. 4 have got countersunk heads, 4 have got normal heads. The countersunk heads keep to one side because we'll use those later, and the normal 4 go in the wing, and then it just screws on. Make sure you don't over tighten it, otherwise you will strip the threads. So just do it up to tight enough till you feel resistance, and then stop there. I like to tighten all the screws up in a nice round motion so that everything is tightened up with an equal tightness, so that no part has got any excess strain on it. So the next part of the build is to put the elevator halves onto the back of the tail. I suggest putting in the part of the carbon spar first, just so you can locate the other half a little bit better. So all you do is you just grab the tail, locate it into the hole, into the back of the fin, push it up and slot it in. You do the same thing for the other side. So locate it in, make sure the elevator halves are level, so that back section in there locates, and then just push it all together. Double check on the top that all 4 of the screw holes are nicely lined up, and if they are, grab those 4 countersunk screws that I said that we had earlier and just pop them in. If you're not 100% happy with just 4 screws holding on the tail, you can glue the insides of the elevators in. I've never had any problems with the screws holding it in. I'm perfectly happy with that. It just makes it easier if it does get knocked and you need to replace it, that it's not glued in. Again, with the screws, make sure they're not over tightened. Tighten them up just till there's a little bit of resistance and they sit nice and flush. Same on the other side. One feature you can see right here that's quite nice about this model is that the tail wheel is a nice scale tail wheel with its scale oleo. It's there, and you've also got the mock gear doors on either side. One of the next things to do is to install the propeller onto the kit. This kit features a 3-blade scale propeller with individual blades and a lovely traditional Russian red spinner, which is nicely fitted, and you get all the mounting hardware with it. So the first thing to do is to screw the propeller onto the back plate, making sure the propeller is facing the right way. On the back of the hub you should be able to see 3 holes. That's the direction it goes down into the spinner back plate for the locator. Push those all in. Grab your little bag of screws. Put those on the table. So you'll have one bigger screw, machine screw, leave that to one side, that's for the spinner. Then you should have 2 screws for each of the propeller blades. So just pop those in on there. Once that's all screwed up, I do recommend balancing the propeller and the spinner. Generally they're okay, but you've just got to make sure, otherwise the bearings on the motor, especially on the 4-cell power, it will maybe deteriorate it quicker. So once you've done that, grab your plane, pop it back on the table, grab your spinner, pop the spinner on. It should then, in the back of the hub, it has a locating shape that locates over the prop adapter. So you'll find when it's located, there we go, and it will push all the way back into the red cowling. Once that's on, use the washer, and then you've got your prop nut, push that over the top, hand tighten that, and then use either a small screwdriver just to tighten that up. There we go. Once that's tightened up, grab the red spinner, fit it on. It should locate nicely into a slot. Then you've got a very small screw, push that in the front, and then use your screwdriver just to pull that all the way through. And there we go. So that's the prop on and the spinner. As you can see, a very nice scale prop and spinner with a nice gap just for cooling air on the side. Once you've got the model all plugged into your receiver, you'll need to plug it in to centre all of your servos. We do recommend, if you don't have a separate battery pack like this, and you will use the onboard speed control power, that you disassemble the prop, take it all off. That way, if it does start up due to a wrong control flow, it's not going to take anybody's hand off or injure them. So once you've plugged it in, I'm going to plug it in here right now. That's all linked. Put the canopy hatch on, so then nothing will fall out. I'll flip it over onto its back, and I can show you one of the lovely scale features about this model, which is the undercarriage. Nice and scale, full metal trunnion retracts, metal bases, nice and durable, and if you can see in there, you have got quite a little bit of forward rake put in as well, which should help with the grass handling. Wheel size also isn't a bad size for the size of this model. Nice dummy scale legs. They are not suspension, they are just a steel leg with a plastic cover over the top. So the next thing to do to put the model together is to put the control push rods onto the servos. Now there is a little bit of a problem with the manual. Underneath where it says length for the arms, the position on the servo horns is the wrong way round. So you do need the shorter arms for the ailerons, but where it says it goes on the third one down, they actually go on the top hole. They're already pre-drilled, so pop them in, twist them round, and then pop them down. These two bits come separate in the kit, so just put it down. I've put it down to about halfway. The servo is centred as it's plugged in, and just check to see if it's level, which that one isn't quite level, just needs screwing out just a tiny bit. So all you do is you do that for both ailerons and the flaps. Don't worry about direction if you've got a computer radio, because obviously you can reverse them as you can with motor radios nowadays. So once you've put that on, that is all that done. Then there's a little bit of silicone tubing, if you can see there, and all you've got to do is just push that up There we go, not too far so it doesn't bind onto the control surface, and then once that's on there, that's all done. So you do the same for the aileron on the other side, and both flaps. I've taken the wing back off. You can do this before you put the wing on, or you can do this obviously after. I've taken the wing back off. The rods for the elevator and rudder are in here on these servos. There's a nice little linking mechanism. You can see there, it just takes a screwdriver. Just need to undo those. I've got these servos plugged in, so you just need to undo them. Then push the rods as far back as they need to go. For me, the elevator one was way too short, so just push them back, and then we'll turn the plane back round. Just get to the tail. So the next thing, once you've undone all of those at the top with the servos, you need to put you'll have an extra long arm here. Push it in to the outside hole onto the rudder, and then you just clip it in as you have done on the other servos onto the middle hole onto the rudder. This gives you a little bit more throw for the servo, which is nice. The little arm that's in here is connected directly to the steerable tail wheel, which is a really nice feature as well for a model of this size. Next thing to do is to do the elevator. So again, you grab it, pull it through and pop it on the second hole. That gives you a good medium between torque and throw. So once that's on there, that's fine. So just make sure it's actually pushed all the way through the hole, which this one is. There we go, and then just clip it up. Once it's clipped, that's fine, and push the little bit of silicone all the way through. And the same for the rudder. There we go. And so once you've done that, you just need to make sure that your control surface is level. I always make sure by just holding them level in the centre. And then once you've got them in the centre, about right, just use your screwdriver just to tweak these up. So just pop it in, grab it, tweak it up, and then the same with the elevator. Push it forwards, pop this in and tweak it up. Please don't use Loctite on this. It is going through a plastic ridge. If you do use Loctite on that, it will make it brittle and they will snap. So just make sure they're done up tight. If you did want a little bit of security on there, I would suggest maybe a little bit of a coupon onto the end of the screw. And that way when it screws in, it will keep it nice and tight. So the next part is obviously to put the transfers on. I've already put the nose transfers on. In the manual it does say that they are stickers, but they are water slide decals. If you've never used water slide decals before, get a bowl of warm water, not hot, get a drop of washing up liquid in there, and then just pop the sticker in. Make sure the sticker is fully submerged, and keep it submerged for probably about 30 seconds. It depends on the sticker. And then just slowly try and move the sticker on the paper. If the sticker refuses to move, leave it underwater until it is ready to go. They are extremely fragile, putting them on. So what I do is I dab a little bit of water whereabouts I'm going to pop the sticker on, which is just there. And that means that when I put the sticker on, it won't stick straight away. And then just shake the water off the bowl. So you can see the stickers on the thing. You can see with just a little bit of movement, it moves off of there. So this sticker just sits underneath the window, so it sits in line with the front panel. Make sure it's level, and just hold it at the front and then just peel it away. You can move it a little bit, not too much. You don't want to end up with any air bubbles. Then once it's on like that. And once it's set on, everything's good. Just dab it with a little bit of tissue paper or kitchen towel, whatever you've got that's absorbent. Get all that excess water off that we put on before. Make sure you don't put too much water on the kit, otherwise you may take the paint off, as it is water soluble. And then once you've done that, just give the transfer a rub. Just rub it. Get all those air bubbles out, all of the water out, and then that will take just a little while to settle out. And there's your transfer on. The great thing about this kit is the amount of transfers it comes with. You get enough transfers to obviously do number 27, which was part of the kit as it's advertised, but you get all the other transfers to do all 5 of those other aircraft. They're all water slide, so that makes it nice and easy. Once you've got the bowl set up, you can just keep adding them, and that's everything. So that's it for the Flightline RC la7. One thing I would like to add is about the silver strips on the front of the canopy. Once you've got the transfers on, I always run a little bit of a scalpel blade just down the inside of the silver strip. So that means that when you take the hatch off, still keeps the silver strip on there, and you haven't got to worry about sliding it forwards and back like some other people are doing. While we're in the thing about the battery bay, I'd just like to show you how much room there is in there. That's why it can take up to a 3200 to 4000 lithium polymer. Mine is a 3800 4-cell, which fits right at the top, right at the front of the bay, just to get the centre of gravity at the suggested 85mm. And just pop this back on. It's got a lovely 2 locking mechanism at the front. There we go. And a lovely strong magnet right at the back, which means it definitely will not fall off in flight. The canopy is also coloured green, which is nice. The stars at the back, I've done the same. I've run a scalpel blade down and just made sure they fold into the hinge so that there is no obstruction. Flight times on a 3800 4S, you're looking at around about 6 to 7 minutes. If you decide to go for a 4000, you're probably looking at 7 to 8. If you want to go for the 3200 to keep the weight down, you're probably looking at about 5 minutes. The motor and prop combination draws around about 48 to 51 amps, so a nice efficient setup. Overall, a very, very lovely model. The only thing I'd like to add before I leave you with the flight review later is the plastic parts that come as part of the kit. In the back of the manual there is an additional bit that talks about taking the rudder hinges off. All the control surfaces run on live foam hinges other than the flaps. It does say in the back that over time they will wear out and they will start to fall off. I've never had a problem with live hinges myself until they've been on about 100 flights, and at that point they start to fall off. So all I do is I run a little bit of Blenderm tape down the insides of each of the control surfaces. That way it just keeps that hinge nice and tight, and if it does start to split, the tape takes up any of that. But if you do want to do it, especially if you're going to be flying it very hard, I would suggest using these. There is enough on here to do every single control surface. And all it is, scalpel blade down the back of the control surface, get one of these, push it in, clip it on and push it in the other side. Very simple and very easy to do. It just takes a little bit of glue. So if you want to do that, everything's there, but if you're going to fly it fairly scale, probably don't need it. So thank you again for joining us for the review of the Flightline la7. I hope to see you next time for the flight review. Thank you again.